America began as a vast and untamed landscape where countless indigenous nations lived for thousands of years, shaping rich cultures, spiritual traditions, languages, and societies that stretched across forests, plains, mountains, deserts, and river valleys. These communities built deep relationships with the land, hunting, farming, crafting, storytelling, trading, and passing down knowledge through generations. They formed a complex tapestry of civilizations that thrived long before any distant world even imagined their existence, demonstrating remarkable adaptation, wisdom, resilience, and harmony with nature. European explorers arrived driven by curiosity, ambition, wealth, and expanding empires, bringing with them new technologies, metal tools, written languages, religion, and unfamiliar animals. Their arrival also unleashed devastating diseases, violent conflicts, territorial claims, and expanding settlements that disrupted indigenous life in irreversible ways. This encounter created a collision of worlds where cooperation, misunderstanding, and conquests were deeply intertwined, and it reshaped the continent's destiny forever as power, culture, and control shifted dramatically over time. Colonists from Europe began establishing settlements along the Atlantic coast, building communities that struggled with harsh winters, scarce resources, and unfamiliar environments. Their ambition for prosperity and self-rule grew stronger each year, even as British authorities imposed strict laws, heavy taxes, and political control from across the ocean. This sparked resentment and frustration among settlers who believed they deserved a voice in their own future, fueling a growing desire for independence that could no longer be ignored. Revolutionary ideas spread through pamphlets, speeches, and passionate debates, inspiring ordinary farmers, merchants, blacksmiths, scholars, and laborers to unite around the belief that true freedom required breaking away from the British crown. Despite facing one of the world's strongest armies, these people committed themselves to a long and uncertain war, driven by courage, desperation, and a shared vision that placed liberty above fear. They transformed everyday citizens into fighters who risked everything to build a nation that had never existed before. After years of sacrifice, suffering, and unexpected victories, the colonists secured their independence and began the bold task of forming a new government. They drafted a constitution designed to balance state powers, individual rights, and federal authority in a structure capable of evolving with time. Though the document was imperfect and debated fiercely, it became a foundation of hope, conflict, and inspiration for generations, guiding the country forward through challenges its founders could never have predicted. As the nation expanded westward, settlers crossed rugged mountains, fast-flowing rivers, and endless prairies in search of promise, opportunity, and land. They built towns, farms, and railroads along the way. But this expansion came at a devastating cost to indigenous nations. Native communities were pushed from ancestral territories through broken treaties, forced removals, and violent conflicts, creating a painful legacy of loss, resilience, and survival. This remains an essential truth of America's story. The Industrial Revolution transformed America into a nation of factories, railroads, steel mills, and bustling cities where machines roared and smokestacks rose. Workers from every background labored long hours for low wages in dangerous conditions. Yet this era ignited innovation, urban growth, and economic power. Millions of immigrants arrived seeking new futures and contributed their cultures, talents, and dreams to a country constantly reshaping itself in pursuit of progress. As industries grew and wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, working-class Americans demanded justice, better wages, safer workplaces, and fair treatment. They organized strikes, formed unions, and fought for rights that many take for granted today. These movements, though met with violence and resistance, eventually reshaped labor laws, expanded protections, and strengthened the idea that dignity belonged to every worker. This helped America evolve not just economically, but morally. Deep divisions over slavery intensified throughout the 19th century, splitting communities, political parties, and families. The nation struggled to reconcile its ideals of freedom with the brutal reality of human bondage. These tensions ultimately erupted into the Civil War, a catastrophic conflict that consumed lives, scorched landscapes, and tested the strength of the Union. The war also paved the way for the abolition of slavery, forever altering the nation's moral and constitutional direction. Reconstruction attempted to rebuild the South, support newly freed African Americans, and reshape national identity after the Civil War. Despite the passage of powerful amendments and bold political efforts, violent resistance, discriminatory laws, and federal withdrawal undermined progress. Deep racial wounds and systemic inequalities remained, echoing across generations and shaping social struggles, cultural shifts, and political battles. The late 19th and early 20th centuries brought waves of innovation as electricity illuminated streets, telephones connected distant voices, automobiles transformed travel, and skyscrapers pierced the skyline. Immigrants from Europe, Asia, and beyond poured into the country, bringing languages, traditions, foods, and aspirations that enriched the cultural fabric. They faced prejudice, poverty, and immense challenges adapting to a rapidly industrializing society. When World War I erupted overseas, America entered the global stage with new confidence. Soldiers were sent to distant battlefields filled with trenches, gas, mud, and unimaginable fear. Though the war ended with victory, it left behind a nation wrestling with grief, shifting values, and questions about its role in world affairs. This set the stage for cultural transformation and political debates that would shape the coming decades. The 1920s unleashed an explosion of music, fashion, nightlife, technology, and artistic expression as jazz filled clubs and radios crackled in homes. People embraced new freedoms, yet beneath the glittering surface of prosperity lay fragile economic foundations. These foundations collapsed into the Great Depression, plunging millions into unemployment, hunger, and despair. The crisis forced the nation to re-examine its economic systems and the responsibilities of government in protecting its people. World War II demanded extraordinary unity as soldiers battled across Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. Factories at home produced weapons, vehicles, and supplies at unprecedented speed. As men fought overseas, women entered the workforce in massive numbers, transforming gender roles and helping secure a victory that reshaped global politics. America emerged as a superpower, forever altering the identity of the nation. After the war, the country experienced economic growth, expanding suburbs, scientific breakthroughs, population booms, and rising consumer culture. The Cold War introduced new anxieties as nuclear threats, an ideological conflict with the Soviet Union dominated global relations. America strengthened its military, invested in technology, and navigated a world divided between fear and power. Amid these tensions, the civil rights movement rose with extraordinary courage. Activists marched, protested, spoke out, and risked their lives to challenge segregation, discrimination, and inequality. Their efforts reshaped laws, hearts, and national consciousness. Though the path toward justice remained ongoing, the movement revealed both the promise and the limitations of America's commitment to equality. The space race ignited national pride as scientists, engineers, and astronauts pushed the boundaries of human capability. They developed rockets, satellites, and groundbreaking technologies that culminated in the historic moment when astronauts landed on the moon. This achievement proved that imagination, determination, and innovation could propel humanity beyond Earth. It symbolized America's ambition to reach farther than any nation before. As the 20th century progressed, America underwent profound cultural shifts through music, art, politics, immigration, technology, and social movements. These changes challenged old norms and expanded new identities. Economic changes, globalization, and political realignments reshaped industries, communities, and opportunities across the nation. Americans were forced to continually redefine what it meant to belong in an ever-changing society. The digital revolution transformed communication, education, business, and entertainment as computers, mobile phones, and the internet connected millions in ways once unimaginable. It created new industries, new challenges, and new forms of expression. It raised questions about privacy, inequality, and the speed at which technology could reshape the human experience. In the 21st century, America faces complex challenges, including political polarization, global competition, environmental threats, rapid technological change, and social justice struggles. Despite conflict, uncertainty, and division, the nation's diversity, creativity, resilience, and enduring belief in reinvention continue to push it forward. Even in times of turmoil, the American story remains one of transformation, hope, and relentless pursuit of a better future.